Hey, what's going on, everybody? As far as some TCG discussions, coming at you with a Rob Lucci deck profile that I took to Peoria. I went 6-4 at the regional for my first One Piece tournament ever. And I'm not happy with myself because I know that I could have done better. But I'm also happy with what I played. I love black as a color, and so being able to take Rob Lucci, spent months putting the deck together, testing. I'm still grinding and testing on the sim with him to figure out how to play him post-ban. Hint, hint, he's far from dead post-ban. He is extremely strong. Even in 08, he's going to be extremely strong. And we'll talk about some of the tech choices that I played in this tournament that you will be able to carry over into 08 and just completely decimate your opponent, and it'll make a lot of sense when I bring the 08 profile. It's just going to be literally move slot A to slot B and then throw in some jacks, and you're just going to literally, as my friend Victor calls it, you're just going to be scorched earth and destroy everything. Still is going to be the best removal deck in the game. So if people think that this deck is not going to be top tier, completely and utterly watch out. Let's first go through the profile pretty quickly because a lot of people know what they do. I'll stop at a few spots just to explain tech choices and why I play the card at the ratios I did and its importance. And then I will talk about my rounds and all that other stuff. So let's get into it. So shoutouts, I know you guys saw this before, but in the red, purple Luffy deck profile, but I picked up I had 3 of these, so I picked up my other 7 Dawn at Peoria, and I was super duper happy with that. Rob Lucci, we know what he does. Swing, mill 2, -1. 5k power leader with 5 life, which is really, really good. To no one's surprise, 2 of the 3 cards we want to open is our Spam and our Stage. Spam, look at the top 3, put the other 2 in the trash, grab a CP if you can, and then Stage. This card is totally ban worthy. It is absolutely insane. It's even more broken with Jack. I'm so glad they didn't ban Gecko or they touched this, even though it doesn't change Lucci's KO potential really. It does make Jack severely more broken because Jack was literally able to just kill a 6 cost and draw filter a card with literally no Dawn investment. So that is just kind of ludicrous. So I'm glad that they balance it out there. And Stage, you guys know what this does. Tap, give -2 cost. We played 4 Tempest Kick. I think that's just pretty standard. Gotta kind of play the 4. And then we played 3 Shigan. This is a card that in my testing list and at the tournament, I wish I could have played it for. Unfortunately, I let somebody borrow this, and then they didn't play Lucci and didn't bring it, and I just didn't get another copy for the tournament, and I submitted my deck list, but it should have been a 4. This card is insane, and this is the card that is going to really carry Lucci into 08. If you don't have your copies of these, get them now. They're super duper cheap. It's not like they're hyper expensive or anything, but this card is literally nuts. This is going to be one of the cards that I talk about and just kind of explain its importance in just about every matchup. Against blue, it completely kills everything that they want to play that's not Kaido. If you play against Boa, when they play 6 cost Boa, literally leader swing, it dies. And that's still going to be the same thing going into 08. All their 4 cost cards die. Against Enel, every 5 drop dies to this by itself. Against Enel, 2 of these will kill a 7 cost with a Stage tap and a leader swing. Unfortunately, going forward, we won't be able to do that. We'll have to find some other way to get the reduction. But for the most part, it's still going to be a really, really powerful card at removing a lot of cards. But in the tournament, like against Sano, like Katakuri, stage tap, leader swing, and then this card kills Katakuri. With the Tempest Kick, in addition to both of those things, that's everything. Any cost in the game is dead. With Tempest Kick and a leader swing, that's pretty much anything in the game dead. It's 9 costs or lower. So, like, this card is just really bonkers. Against Bonnie, which is where this card hyper shines, you can just, like, swing lead, and then even if you have, like, Spandam on the board, right, and they have Basil, you can swing lead. For some reason, Bonnie players think that it's okay to just take the life instead of, like, block with, like, the Basil. Then you'll swing 2, and then with the Spandam, and then you'll finger pistol the card off the board, and because there's nothing for the Basil to rest, it just dies. It didn't even protect them from damage either, which makes the play it's like a hyper punish. And this is one of the only ways that Lucci can consistently out Basil, and since Bonnie is going to be hyper good next format, yeah. Like, Finger Pistol at 4, you will see it in my list when I bring it to you for 08. And I'm telling you, like, this card freaking carries. It is so busted. It is so good. Against purple, specifically, like, Magellan is kind of a problem for black, except for when this card triggers Out of Life. Because Magellan can literally just die to this card outright, and Magellan does not get the remove effect of Tudon, because it's on their turn. And so, like, if they swing a life, trigger this, it's crazy. And just the fact that this trigger is activate this main's ability is crazy. And I guess I should explain what it does. You may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck and then K up to one of your opponent's 5 cost or less characters. That's just great. That's, like, literally insane. That hits everything in Purple Luffy all the way up. Against, like, next format, right? Like, it's even more disgusting because Ice Age will be played at 4 in Lucci, and Ice Age plus Finger Gun kills a 10 cost card, right? Like, that, like, it is just that good. The other thing that's, like, super important is that it mills 2 cards. Because it mills 2 cards, it feels getting faster to Tempest Kick. So it is just all around, like, a covetedly great card. And guess what, guys? It's also CP. So that means it's searchable off Spandam. Like, you literally cannot ask more from this card. For 4 Dawn, you add a 5 cost. With Leader Swing, it's a 6 cost. With Tempest Kick, it's a 9 cost. And with Ice Age, it's killing anything in the game without the Leader Swing. And, like, even with Ice Age, Leader Swing, it's still killing Jack. So, like that is how strong this card is going to be. It is just a overpowered card in general. Like, I cannot sing enough praise about this card. This is the one card I wish it would have played 4. I played Kaku in its place. Kaku was okay, but, like, I just wish I would have played 4 Finger Gun and only 1 Kaku. So, yeah. Even though it's not a body. Like, it's that insane of a card. And then to wrap it up for the events, we played 2 6 King Pistol. We play a lot more bricks in the deck, and so 6 King Pistol can just, like, help declog, get us out of 7K swings. It's actually not got that too bad of a effect either for a trigger. You can trigger it to draw a card and then KO or 1 or less, which isn't too bad. For our 2Ks, we play 4 Caulifla and 2 Kaku. We justify only playing these 6 as 2Ks. I know that seems really low, but it's not too bad because of 6 King Pistol. And we're basically removing everything so they don't have anything to swing at us with. Like, that's kind of like the principle of the deck. We will go up to a full set of 2Ks because this card is way too good, and this card gets replaced by Who's Who. And Who's Who is a card that on play, you trash a card KO 3 or less, and it has a trigger to KO or 3 or less. So, like, as a 2K, it is just completely bonkers. Between that, Ice Age, Tempest Kick, and Shigan or Finger Pistol, you literally have 16 cards that KO a 3 or less, and one of them KOs a 5 or less. It's like a Nonami trigger that mills 2, which is just absolutely perfect. It's insane. But Caulifla, 2K, and on play, you draw 2 trash, you give something -2. And then Kaku, not too bad for himself. When you play him on the board, you can bottom deck 2 CP cards, which, by the way, we play a ton of CPs between, like, the Finger Pistols, the 16 Pistol, the Tempest Kicks, like, the other 2Ks, like everything. We play so many CP cards. You bottom deck 2, and then you get to give something -3, 4/5, and 4/4. Next, to Kaku, KO or 3 less on play, and then I use a 5/6 with 1,000 counter power. You have to put back 2 CPs to activate that effect. And then next, the heart of the deck, the most broken card in the deck, besides Gecko, but like this is what really breaks the Gecko play, is Rebecca. If you really want to nerf black, you need to ban this card. Like if you want to nerf Lucci, like Ennie's Lobby was not enough. This card still needs to go. We all know what Rebecca does by now. We all remember the days of Sakazuki, Rebecca, Hina, Lucci. But the reality is that like Gecko Lucci plays like are disgusting. They play 5 cards. If you don't know the combo, it's Gecko, play Rebecca, play Helmeppo or Spandam, whichever one you want to do. Rebecca grabs Spandine from the trash, play Spandine to the board, bottom deck 3 CP cards to play a 4 or less CP card. It can grab Caulifla, it can grab Kaku, it can grab Rob Lucci, and then if Rob Lucci's there, you can KO 2 cards, and then you have like an adjustment of stuff with like stage and whatnot. Well, let me tell you something, like with the whole like, oh, we have Tempest Kick and all this other stuff, but we don't have stage anymore, but we have Ice Age in Stage's place. So Ice Age is a non-searchable event that has no counter, so it's the same thing, but it's just a -5 for 1 Dawn, which means your Gecko plays are literally just not, if not more broken. Because guess what? -5 is better than -3, and then instead of relying only on the Tempest Kick for the 1 Dawn for the Gecko, you have that and Ice Age. So it's like literally still really broken. And she makes the whole world go round. You can grab Sabo, you can grab a 2K. Sometimes I would play her literally just for the value of like Rebecca expanding Lucci and just to put bodies on the board. Like she just does so much for the deck and she's such a boon. So yeah, we played her at 4. Next, Spandine. This is the card that I was talking about. You place 3 CPs on the bottom of the deck and then you play out a 4 cost or lower CP card. It's a 3 cost, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter. I look to like counter at a chump swings with this, like they swing 5, just like counter out. But there's times where you hard play it, or if it's in your hand, you play Rebecca, add back a 2K, play this. Like it's just so good. Like it's like so much value. Next, we did play 1 Brook. Brook is like kind of bad. Like that's probably like the worst opinion I've probably ever had on this channel in terms of One Piece. But like Brook, I like him, but like also I don't. Like the issue with this card specifically is that like in the mirror, it just dies. Like it 100% just dies. It's a 4K, so when I play it in rest mode with Rebecca, like literally just swing over it. I'm like not gonna counter to save this card when I can just like bring it back later. And even like when I get attack value, it is literally the first attack target. And it just feels like it just kind of dies. So we played it at 1. It was okay. I saw it in a couple of matches. It kind of helps. The thing that's like actually good though is like if it lives, like the swing basically turns into an extra minus, which is pretty good. So use a 3 cost, 4,000 power card with 1,000 counter on play, and when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1. And if that card is a 0 cost, you can KO. So, yeah, pretty good. Next, the best card in the Black Mirror is Sabo. Have to play this card before. I was on Copium thinking I could play this at 2, like earlier in my early iterations. Yeah, no, you have to play this card 4. Number 1 is a filter at 5 Dawn. It is literally one of the strongest plays. Basically anything that you played before it, whether it be like Spandine or whatever, or like a double Spandine, like you protect it. Against Red Purple Law, like not that that matters anymore because he's banned, they will basically spend a card to get rid of this. Not that that like really matters that they do, but if they don't, you can just literally turn this card sideways with a Dawn and make it a 7K swing. So it's really good. 5/6 protection effect. We all know what this card does by now. Like draw 2 trash 2. Next, we opted to play one Brook. I had to play something. I had to at least play this at one. For two reasons. It was toss up between this and like the Black Luffy. Black Luffy has the ability like when attacking trash a tour list, and then like you can bottom deck any number of cards 4 cost or higher, and if you for every 3 that you bottom deck, he gets an extra 1,000 power. Now here's the difference between that and this card. Sometimes the math for the thing about Luffy is like he did not get the removal effect right away. Like that came up in testing all the time. So like if you play against Black Yellow Luffy, like they'll either Thunderbolt the card, they'll like Ice Age the card, and then like kill it with Rocket Luffy or something else, right? Whereas they cannot Thunderbolt this, it cannot be Onami'd, like all that other stuff. The real like big like deciding factor was what it does to Nami. And that was like the part where I was sold, because it just made my already like good strategy against Nami like a little bit stronger by having this card. And that is the ability to put 3 cards in my opponent's trash to the bottom of their deck. Like that can literally be the difference between you winning and losing a Nami game. And so like, yeah, I just felt that like Brook like kind of like did his job in that regard, right? Like that was the reason that he was like the one flex spot that like I wanted to have. Yeah, like this is not the card that I would cut for Finger Gun. It would have been one of the Kakus that I played. Next we played 4 Rob Lucci. You have to play it. Yeah, this card has been snapped since Sakazuki, and it's even more busted in this deck. We get to play it out of the trash absolutely for free, basically, off Rebecca. Like, it's just really, really good. Get that for 6, pop a couple cards, and then move on with your day, and just swing for the fences at 7s. Next, we play 2 Homepo. These are the only, like, grave reducers that I wanted to play. We opted for just him. Notice that we don't play Suru, so we're not, like, fetching Suru for reduction out of the trash. And honestly, it worked perfectly. All the games I lost were not because I never saw Homepo or anything like that. You mill a lot in this deck, and eventually either that or you draw him, and then like you'll counter out with him, or like play him to the board raw, and then like he'll die or something like that, right? And then or this is like a really good thing. Like let's say your board's full, you go play Gecko. This card has to be sacrificed off the board, and so it's in play bounds for Gecko's effect. So yeah, it's really good. 2/3, 1,000 power. We know what this does on play. Give something -3. Next for our top end, we played 2 Isho. Isho was okay. I think this probably should have been Sabo. Like 100%, I think this probably should have been Sabo. Sabo just decimates Law, and like that's like the real matchup. It's two of my 4 losses were to Law. Isho though was also somewhat necessary, because like Black Yellow Luffy is that serious. If you rip their Geckos, like the game's just literally going to be over. Your Gecko puts a blocker on the board, and their Gecko puts 2 blockers on the board, but like the 9k swing just gets mitigated by Rebecca, and you have a 9k to pressure their 9k back, which is going to force cards out of their hand. So like taking their Gecko is like really, really strong. I punished a lot of players who were at 6 cards with this too. I think I played him like 3 or 4 times, but every time that I did, like he got value immediately, and just like helps decimating the opponent. The other thing is this: if they do not out the card immediately, the attach 1 Dawn on top of leader and stage plus Gecko, bring back Homepo, and a Tempest Kick is like mass death with Lucci for like anything that they play. So it was pretty good. It was probably should have probably just been Sabo, just like to make my Law matchup a little better. Stussy, we played it at 1. Not a lot of people are on Stussy, and that's fair. A lot of people are probably more on her now than they were before, but Stussy is like, so I imagined, like when I pictured what I'm going to play against, I imagine I'm going to play a lot of Bonnie, which this deck decimates Bonnie. I imagine I was going to play maybe some blue off the key, and that did happen, right? I'm going to play the mirror, and this card is just a one card out to Gecko. Against a Nell. This is a really strong card against a Nell because it kills Ace, it kills Yamato, it kills Katakuri, and it cannot be Katakuri'd. They must Raigo this card. So, like, it's like literally Raigo where this card sits until they attack over it, which is really, really good. So it just had a lot of positive, like, what I felt like attributes. Unfortunately, the worst matchup for this is Red Purple Law, and it was the deck that I played the most. In fact, I had literally over 10 rounds. I played 8 different decks. So, we'll get to that in a minute, but and 2 of them are Law, which she does absolutely nothing to Law. She is terrible against him. You're not going to spend 9 Dawn to kill a kid. It's just that, like, you're just not going to do that. Like, you'd probably do something else unless it was, like, absolutely what you had to do to get rid of, like, unless it's the last card on their board, like, you're not really concerned about that. So, yeah. The other thing, though, about Stussy is her ability to just trash a card and then KO anything. Like, there is actually really something to this. It's why I actually like Shanks and my Red Purple Luffy deck profile that I put up on the channel. Because this card is just like, I play it, and then you lost a card. And a lot of people really underestimate the power of these swings and matchups. Like, if you play a body, and it's supposed to have significant impact, like Isho, for example, right? And then I just literally sack off a Spandam, and your card dies, and I now have the 9K card. That's massive. This card is like Black's Red Rock, and I just don't know what to tell you. It's, like, broken. In 08, 100%, like, we're going to play Kaido in her place. Kaido is insane, and we'll talk about that, like, when we get there, but Sussy just really, really does a lot of things, and, like, getting rid of, like, a Spandam after you, like, Gecko Spandam, Rebecca Spandine, like, because you could KO, like, 2 of Blue's cards without it, and then sacking the Spandine to kill, like, a 10-12 Kaido, draw 4 or something, is really good. Like, it's just a 1 card out where you just don't even need to worry about it. She can even KO herself, but that's obviously, like, not optimal. And the last 4 cards that we play, obviously, Gecko Moria, the card that everybody wants banned, but nobody seems to understand that if you did that, like, oh no, like, Black just doesn't have any good cards anymore. But, like, yes, this card carries Black, but yes, it's a necessary evil in my opinion. He put in work. I lost one of my games against Law because I didn't see one of these. And then the game that I did see him against the other Law player, it was just unfortunate. I thought I was literally going to have it in the bag, but literally he bricked, but opened up the perfect sequence of cards to basically out everything. And so, like, I just, I fell down to Law. Like when Law sees it all, like, he just always won the game. So, yeah, and good old Gecko. Love him, and I'm glad that he's still around, that we can still play with him, even though, like, you know, everybody wants to see this card burn in a fiery pit. So let me go over my rounds real quick, and just talk about my overall tournament experience. So round 1, we played against Blue Boa. That's absolutely free for Lucci. They won't ever have anything on the board. Most of the time they're, like, grab blading and red rocking your crap off the board, not playing anything of their own. And so, like, they'll just eventually fold to your pressure. 12 cost Kaido just means absolutely, 10-12 Kaido just means absolutely nothing. Draw 4, bounce, doesn't matter. If you, like, if you spent 10 Dawn, and the only thing that you bounced to my hand is Gecko Moria, the only thing you allowed me to do is basically repeat that and then kill the card. So, the draw Kaido just doesn't do anything either, because it's just going to die and then get pressured out by everything that I played with Moria the previous turn. Round 2, Rob Lucci. So that one came down to the wire, but my opponent was really never in the game. It's honestly, like, so I should probably talk about the theorem of this deck briefly before, like, I talk about this win. This deck was designed so that if you didn't see Gecko, you could pretty much out anything, right? With, like, Finger Pistol, Shigan, the field stage, and like your leader swing, you can pretty much KO anything you want. Like, to give you an example, like let's say that my opponent like plays like Gecko, Rebecca, Lucci, whatever, right? And then I swing they play like they have like Helmeppo, they have Rebecca, they have Rob Lucci, they have like you know Helmeppo, Gecko, Rob Lucci, Rebecca, Spandine, right? That would be like all five. Let's say all those cards are on the board. I can swing into anything that I want, right? And if they give me the Rebecca blocker and then I tap stage, Shigan kills, like immediately kills the Gecko. And then like Brooke like trashes Lucci. So if they gave me the Rebecca blocker, they're just left with Spandine and Helmeppo. So like that's like kind of like the idea, right? That's like the premise behind the deck. And I realize I play Brooke only at 1, right? But then you stop and think that that's just not the only way that it can work, right? So like 10 Dawn, right? If I repeat the same thing, I tap stage, swing lead, I activate Shigan, that's 4 of my Dawn. I still have 2 more Dawn and Rob Lucci. So I could then like play like Tempest Kick to the Rob Lucci and then play down my own Rob Lucci, cycle 3 cards to the bottom of my deck, and then now KO the Helmeppo and the Rob Lucci and still have a Dawn to swing 6 if they want to block with Rebecca. Right? So then again, like everything's eradicated. Notice that I say all of that, and I did not play Gecko Moria. And that was like the point. Like I wanted the ability to like continuously be able to put pressure on my opponent. And that's actually what ended up happening. You would not believe, it was one of the games where like I wish I was on stream and they would have seen me play it. Like I just wish I would have been on stream for this. But basically we get to 8 Dawn, my opponent plays Gecko. Okay, I then out his Gecko with like Shigan stage tap, leader swing, Brooke, and then he blocked with Rebecca on my swing. He played Brooke like instead of spamming Lucci because like he didn't have a Lucci. So I swung into the Brooke and then he like blocked it with a Rebecca. So then he like lost. He lost. I trashed the Brooke. And then with my 6-cost Brooke, and then I KO'd the Gecko, and then he gave me the Rebecca blocker. So, like, he still had, like, the Helmeppo, right? So that was, like, the last card that he had. But he had another Helmeppo and trash. So then next, I passed turn after, like, doing my 10 on whatever. Then he Geckos me again. And I'm like, okay. Like... This is getting a little crazy, bro. And I had a Gecko in my own hand, so like he did this little thing, yada yada yada. He kills my Brooke. He then puts some like a Dawn on lead and swings, and I take it. My next turn, I then played my Gecko and had like Tempest Kick plus like leader swing and everything else. I divvied up my Dawn like appropriately. And then I outed his Gecko, reduced it to 2, brought down like I did like leader swing 6, bring out the leader swing 6, tap the stage, play down Tempest Kick, reduce the Gecko down to 2, and then played out Helmeppo, Rebecca, Spandine, Lucci, and then just KO'd Lucci, KO'd Helmeppo, and KO'd, it's not KO'd, KO'd Gecko and KO'd the Rob Lucci, right? So I got rid of both. And then he's left with Rebecca, and then he blocked again with a Rebecca on the 6K swing, so he doesn't have to give me a 2K out of hand. And he actually like had a somewhat of a health again, right? And then the next turn, he played Gecko again. He killed my Gecko, and I'm like, dear God, somebody please stop giving this man Geckos. I literally looked in his trash. He had milled 1. There was 2 that I killed, and that was the last one. I said, dear Jesus, praise God. Like, this is like the end of ends. And then I top deck like Finger Pistol, Shigan, I had like a Tempest Kick in hand. I top decked the Finger Pistol, and I had Rebecca, Spandine, into Lucci again. So like I just did some funny math, and I KO'd the finger gun, Tempest kicked the Lucci, and then like I Rebecca, Spandine, Lucci, and then swung 6, and he left the blocker up. But all that to say is like I did all that, and I got past literally 3 geckos, and I had only 1. And then my second to last turn, I drew the second last turn of the game. I drew another gecko, and then I played, and then I just won the game. But it was like one of the best wins I've ever probably had in my life with Rob Lucci in the mirror. Round 3, played against Red Purple Law, and I played against Jonas Abraham, and we were talking before the tournament, like what we were on, and I was watching him play some games. It was like really cool to meet him, you know, meeting the national champ in person. It's just like always super awesome. And you know, seeing how he kind of thinks like in his test games, like it was just like really cool to watch. And he sits down, he's like, man, I wanted to play you later in the tournament. I was like, man, I am not happy I have to play you this early. And it was a super close game. It came literally down to 1K. He had a 2K in hand. And my last swing was for 6. He had a 2K at 0 life. He had 2 cards in hand. I had to go for it, or I was going to lose based on board state. And literally, if one of my span dams was a Helmeppo in its place, like if I had 1K more power, or like another Dawn to divvy up, not that my allocation was wrong or anything like that, nothing like that happened. It was just that like I did all the attack sequence. I could have removed his queen with a Kaku, but the Dawn math ended up being the same, and so like it just like did not matter, and literally he just had it. So you know, give it up to the Nats, man. Nats champ, when you have it, you have it. I thought I was going to win that game handily, too. I opened up Spandam Stage Gecko. I thought that I was literally just going to run roughshod over this law, and it did not happen. So, and he ended up getting second place in the whole Peoria tournament. So, you know, shout out to him. Round 4, played against Red Purple Law again. Then I got exactly what I feared about playing Rob Lucci. And that is like, there's just like 1 out of every like 15 to 20 games of Rob Lucci where 1 key pivotal card is super necessary to see, like whether it be 4-cost Lucci or Gecko. And literally it does not appear for the entire game. I mean the entire game. We were 3 or 4 turns past the 10 Dawn curve, and I did not mill. I died and still had not seen Gecko. Like, it was literally really weird. My friend Seth had this happen to him in, like, locals, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, his first game playing Rob Lucci in locals was met with Rob Lucci 4-cost being 4 out of the bottom 5 cards of his deck. Like, that is exactly how terrible it was for me. Except for it was, like, within the bottom 7 to be top decked by me next. Because, like, under those 7 were the cards I had cycled for, like, I had cycled for Spandine to play Kaku out. Because I still didn't have, I was just putting bodies on the board and I just didn't have anything. It was atrocious. And so, like, yeah, I just lost. Like, there's nothing you can do if you don't see this card against Red Purple Law. Like, this is one of the few cards you need to see. And that's honestly where, like, if I had played Sabo in its place, I did draw an Isho. If I had seen Sabo in its place, which he did bottom deck the Isho, like, post-haste after me playing it, and I ripped 2 cards from his hand. But it's, like, one of those things where Gecko, if I saw one, it didn't matter at any state, last turn, turn prior, whatever, he ought to lost the game. Like, he just literally would have lost the game. So it is what it is. You know, you get that sometimes. Card games are random, you know, and you take it on the chin. But I'm 2-2 now, and so we're going into round 5. And then I sit down against a Blue Dofi player, and yeah, that's free. That did not end well for him whatsoever. He literally played a card and it died, whether I swung into it and costed him a card out of hand first and then it died, or like I just decided to play Gecko and kill his whole board anyway. He played 10 calls Kaido. I then Stussy, sacked a Spandam and then killed it, and then proceeded to smash his face in with like, I think it was like 5 7 off the Lucci, 9 with Gecko, with 9/9 still standing, and then I had another Gecko in my hand. It was gross. So yeah, that's absolutely free. Round 6. Here comes the third loss. Enel. Enel has only one like jack knife against you in the matchup, and that is the 7-cost Enel. My opponent wisely built his deck to play against black, because if you don't, you're just gonna like lose everything, and it's gonna be a bad day, right? But he played the 7-cost Enel. On curve of 7 curve, he played an L. And then on 9 curve, he played a second one. And 1 an L is really hard to deal with. 2 literally wins them the game if you can't kill them. Like that's just the reality of the situation. Like 2 will literally just win them the game on the spot. So yep, he won. And yeah, there's just not much more to say than that. Like double 7-cost Enel, like if anybody sees that against like Rob Lucci, Rob Lucci's crying. So the only way to like really beat that is to like have the black zombie Luffy tech, and then like finger pistol it off the board, or like then reduce it after the turn has been played, and then you can just send it straight to the trash. But yeah, that's like the only downside to me not playing zombie Luffy. So now we're 3-3. Round 7 played against Bonnie. This deck in particular, especially if I played 4 finger pistol, decimates Bonnie. Like Bonnie cannot keep a board with Rob Lucci, like ever. Like it's just not a good day. Like Rob Lucci has to just draw like Caulifla, Kakus, and 6-king pistol just to like for Bonnie to even remotely have a chance. If they draw anything normal, I open up stage. He made me go second, and I opened up double Spandam stage. And then drew a finger pistol, and then one of my Spandams hit a second one. I'm like, it doesn't even matter what you play. Like, he played 2 8-cost kids. They both died. He played Basil. It died. He played Arouge. It died. Like, it didn't matter, man. Like, he got toasted. Like, there's just nothing else to say. He just got roasted, toasted. And like literally at the end of like the first 8-cost kid he played, it was leader swing into it, stage tap, finger pistol, and I have like 6 Dawn left. So then like I played Brook and then sent his Bartolomeo blocker straight to the trash. And he was like, what was the point of me doing that entire turn? I'm like, I don't know. Play some more cards, see what happens. And then he played like Kid again, and then again I activated Field Spell. I activated the I swung the leader, and then I played Gecko, and then I played out Helmeppo, and then KO'd the Kid anyway. So like he just he just had a really bad day, and like that's how that matchup goes. Like Bonnie it gets torn apart by Lucci. So next, this is probably like my proudest win, is against Nami. And the note here is playtesting works. So I've developed a theorem around Nami, and I want to share it with you guys. So how you play Nami into Lucci is actually pretty unique. The way that like Snake Dance operates in the deck is that they want to bounce Kaya back to their hand, and you can never let them actually put the Kaya back in their hand. Even like the old lady, like you really can't do that either, right? And the only other card that you really want to try and play around is White Snake. Everything else is a little bit mid, okay? So there's one like prevailing theory of how to play against Nami, and that is to swing with 9K. Well, the other caveat to that is that swinging 9K just to swing 9K when they can get over it, but you can't do it a lot of times in the same turn really doesn't work. So, you know, like I had games against Nami where I'd have like 2 cards on the board, and I'd stack them to like 9, and then like have like a leader swing 8 or something like that. Like 2 6Ks go to 9, and then like my last leader swing would go to 9 or something like that. But it just wasn't doing it, right? Like my game state was basically being met the same way but like it was tit for tabbing it the same way, but like I just didn't have enough finishing power, and I was caught like the card cost economy was basically the same. I also learned that 7 and 8s don't mean anything, right? So here's what you got to do, okay? The first thing that you have to do is you have to establish 6Ks, because the 6Ks are like really important. Like even if you don't KO something, play Rob Lucci, play Sabo, play Kaku, right? Obviously, if they like put Marguerite or Kai on the board, you KO them. And I guess I'll caveat to that real quick. You must KO those cards, because if Snake Dance bounces, especially Kaya back to hand, you're just gonna lose. Like that's just how it's gonna go, bub. You're gonna lose. Because literally what that just did for them was remove 2 more cards out of their deck. Like that's how you have to think about that. Like if you have the opportunity to not let them get 2 more cards out of their deck, that's what you have to do, right? So like my opponent was frustrated because before I swung with anything, even if that meant my swings were weak, I would literally play Rob Lucci and sack 3 cards to the bottom of my deck immediately. Like if you play like Marguerite Kaya, I literally would just like tap stage on Marguerite, and then before I even swung with Rob Lucci, I'd play the 4-cost Lucci and then just KO the card. I spent 4 Dawns on a finger pistol just to KO a Kaya off the board, okay? Because Snake Dance is that serious of a card. You're literally going to give them 2 more cards to get out of their, get out. Even there was a turn that like I gave up swinging 9s at them just so that I could play Gecko to play Lucci to the board to get rid of the Kaya. Like he played Kaya again and just left it on the board. So because they don't have that like one card that the Brick Fist or whatever it is that bounces it back to hand, like they're going to bounce it back with Snake Dance. So that's the time. That's the place to get rid of it right away. Anyway, back to the theorem. So like you can swing actually at Nami's level. And this is where the 6Ks are like really important, because if they activate Whitesnake, right? The only thing that does is now make it their leader a 6K. But guess what that costs them? It costs them 2 Dawn and a card in hand. So when you swing 6 again, guess what it's going to cost them? 2 Dawn and a card in hand. But when they Snake Dance, a 6K swing. This means that like as soon as they run out of Dawn, your higher K swings now like have immediate impact. So like when you know that it would cost them a 2K, if they're out of Dawn and you have 6 on the board, that's when you swing 7. Because now it's going to cost them actual counter in their hand, which are cards that are either going to get them cards back in Mr. Bones, Kaya, get them out of the deck, or search for more cards in the old grandma card. So that is a theorem. You swing at them. When they Whitesnake, you test Whitesnake. Does Whitesnake come? No, it doesn't. Okay, they didn't Whitesnake here at the 5K Lucci swing. They just countered out with whatever. Cool. Again, making sure that you KO cards off the board. I literally had like Saba Blocker, Lucci. Then when I finally got to Gecko, I played Gecko. And I was like, literally, once I had like the Saba, Lucci, Gecko, that is when you start introducing the 9Ks, right? So you put 3 on Sabo, 3 on Lucci, Gecko swing, 4 on lead. 3 on Sabo, 3 on Lucci, Gecko swing, 4 on lead. You just repeat this. And now it's costing them 2 cards. Now it's going to be like really broken, because guess what? They don't play very much, but my opponent was, and it was actually super good. And it's Deathwink. Deathwink is a card that is not commonly played for like the more consistent Amazon Lily package, coupled with like the Impel Down Stars to just like freaking draw 2 as a freaking trigger or whatever, right? So for the record, I won that game with my opponent having 4 cards left in deck, and he played 3 Kayas to the board. He saw all 4 of his Snake Dances and played them. So if I literally let 2 of those Kayas go back to my hand, I would have lost the game. Back to his hand, he lost the game. And in his final turn, the last cards in his deck didn't get him anything. Like he could, they would not mill or do anything. They would either scry. They were like the Desert Spotter or whatever it is. So it was a really good win. All that to say, place testing works, and the theory worked out very good. So it was really good. Round 8, my opponent was X3 and dropped. They were really bad. So don't know about that. And then so we got a free win there. But round 9, not round 9, but round 10. So we're okay. It's round 10. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, round 10. Round 10, I ran into the final boss. It's Black Yellow Luffy. If you don't know, it's a 25% win rate for Rob Lucci. It's really bad. Like, it is like the hardest counter of counters. It can be won through like specific set of lines that can literally just not matter. Like, there is that like, no one's going to convince me that like Rob Lucci just beats Black Yellow Luffy. Like, if they draw correctly, like, you just lose every time. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the round recaps. For my first One Piece tournament, it was really good. Hang on, I'm going to take a quick drink because I'm thirsty. For my first One Piece tournament, it was super good. I'm really happy that I took my alt art, like, Lucci deck with, like, all my alt. I had spent months getting these cards. I even bought, like, pre-release stages, which RIP are now banned, but, like, that's okay. It was worth it. I just spent so much time collecting this deck, and so, like, to not play it just felt like an insult to the work that I'd put in and in getting it put together. And so I was really satisfied. X4 in a tournament where I knew that, like, I knew I wasn't playing the best deck in the room. Even though Rob Lucci ended up winning that tournament, I know that it's still, like, it wasn't the best deck in the room. It was probably Black Yellow Luffy or Law, like, and but I was happy with, you know, taking what I wanted to. It made it more relaxing. I was able to enjoy myself. I wasn't putting the pressure on myself, but I will not be making that competitive mistake again. Because one of my losses was purely to one of the reasons why I had questions playing Lucci, and that is just literally in testing, like, key cards just do not show themselves or they just get milled. And you cannot win because, like, you need at least one of those key cards to resolve. Like, you can survive, like, without Gecko to some degree. You can't survive without seeing Rob Lucci. If you just don't see Rob Lucci for the game, like, you're screwed, right? You can survive certain matchups without seeing Rob Lucci, but and it being milled. But, like, if you don't have Gecko to bring into the board, then you've just lost. So there's just matches where it super mattered, and I should have known Sabo would have been better against Law, and I played 2 Law, and I didn't play it, and that's on me. But, like, I think I was also kind of right with Isho, because, like, Isho just makes NL, like, super seriously bad for NL unless they, like, cat it to your life. So yeah, I just think that there's a lot. This meta was also very squirrely. Anybody who plays competitive right now will tell you that, like, before the bans, it was hot garbage. We've literally, like, condensed from, like, 7 decks down to, like, 3 or 4 that are maybe 5. Like, if you want to toss Gecko into the top 5 for some reason, I don't see it. I think Gecko Moria is just literally subpar unless you played, like, the CP version of it. But yeah. I still think Rob Lucci's really good. Bonnie, Black Yellow Luffy, and Reiju. Like, I think that's, like, your top 4 or 5, and then, like, probably Red Purple Luffy because he's, like, positive into 3 of those matchups, and then there's just, like, some testing, like, for all the other decks. Not to insult other people, Blue is still not good. Like, Blue Dolphin won't be good until they get the structure deck. Stop it. And Bo is copium. Like, it's absolute copium. Stop. Yeah, just because stage was removed, like, doesn't mean that your deck's good. Like, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, well, like, Law's gone, so, like, we can just play blue and just, like, not die. Yeah, no, you're still gonna get everything removed by black and still lose. So but yeah, I'll be bringing a list for an updated list for Lucci post ban soon. And but I wanted to say shout outs if anybody was there. It was really good to meet you. It was super awesome. I saw a guy cosplaying completely fully as Dofi, hairy legs, pink pants, pink feathered coat, and all with the glasses and the pointy shoes. It was awesome. Like, it was really cool. Everyone was super nice. Other YouTube content creators saying hi to me. I got to, like, have an actual discussion with a national champion. Like, wow, dude, that was just really cool. And I just gotta say I love this community. I think that we have a really, really, really great community. Keep up the good work, guys. And for all of you guys who are going to Nats or LCQs, good luck to you. I will not be in attendance for that. I have some family and personal issues. And one more clearinghouse thing. The channel is back, baby. It's pretty confirmed, but it's not that I'm not going to Poland, but it's for a very sad personal reason. So I won't be talking about that till a later day, but look forward to more content, guys. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will catch you guys in the next one. This is Marcus from TCG Discussions signing off. Laters.